The Galactic Council's emergency session had been in progress for 7 standard hours. Admiral Vexithara of the Carillion Defense Fleet shifted her forearms restlessly as she reviewed the tactical displays one more time. The readings made no sense. "Explain this again," she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had never lost a battle in 30 years of service. Commander Zeftal, his serpentine form coiled nervously around the central podium, gestured at the holographic readout. The human vessel Harmony's Edge entered Sector 7 Alpha at 600 hours. The Vorthak hunting pack, 12 vessels strong, surrounded them within minutes. Standard predation pattern, Admiral. The humans should have been devoured within the hour. Admiral Vexithara's main eyes narrowed while her auxiliary ones continued scanning data streams. The Vorthak were the galaxy's apex predators, a nomadic species that had terrorized shipping lanes for millennia. Their bioships were living weapons, bred for one purpose: hunt, kill, consume. No species had ever successfully negotiated with them. Most had barely managed to flee. "But they didn't attack," she stated, her voice flat with disbelief. "No, Admiral, they just stopped. The entire pack formed a protective perimeter around the human ship and has remained there for 6 hours." The council chamber erupted in chittering, growling, and electromagnetic pulses of confusion from its diverse membership. Ambassador Clithmore of the Silicon Collective processed the data through his crystalline matrix before speaking. "This defies all behavioral patterns. The Vorthak do not spare prey. They do not form protective formations. They consume and move on. It is their nature." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the sole human representative on the council, remained silent. She had been studying the biorhythmic readings from the Vorthak ships, patterns that other species couldn't interpret, but that made perfect sense to her enhanced auditory cortex. "There's something else," Commander Zeftal continued, his forked tongue tasting the air nervously. "Our deep space monitors detected an audio transmission from the human vessel. Low frequency, barely registering on standard equipment." Admiral Vexthara's head tilted. "Communication attempt? Unknown. The signal is unusual, Dr. Vasquez. Perhaps you could—" "It wasn't communication," Elena interrupted, rising from her seat. The chamber fell silent. It was music. The council stared at her with expressions ranging from confusion to outright skepticism. Ambassador Clithmore's crystalline form pulsed with rapid calculations. "Music is a mathematical arrangement of tonal frequencies," he stated. "How could mathematical sequences affect Vorthak behavior?" Elena moved to the central display, her fingers dancing across the interface to isolate the audio transmission. "Because music isn't just mathematics to us. It's emotion made audible. It's the language that speaks directly to the limbic system, bypassing rational thought." She activated the playback. A soft, haunting melody filled the chamber, barely a whisper, like a lullaby carried on cosmic winds. Several council members shifted uncomfortably, though they couldn't identify why. Captain Sarah Chen of the Harmony's Edge wasn't trying to communicate with the Vorthak pack, Elena explained. She was singing to them. An old Earth song, Brahms' lullaby. "Impossible," Admiral Vexithara snapped. "The Vorthak are apex predators. They respond only to strength, fear, or the scent of weakness." Elena smiled, an expression that had unnerved alien diplomats for decades. It wasn't malicious, it was the smile of someone who understood something fundamental that others missed. "You're thinking like predators," she said. "But even the most dangerous creatures in our galaxy were once young. They once had mothers." She manipulated the display to show the biorhythmic readings from the Vorthak ships. To most species, the data looked like random fluctuations. But Elena highlighted specific patterns: synchronized decreases in metabolic activity, reduced aggression hormones, elevated production of what humans would recognize as bonding chemicals. "The Vorthak response isn't protection," she continued. "It's recognition." Captain Chen's lullaby triggered something deep in their evolutionary memory, something that remembers being small, vulnerable, and needing comfort. Commander Zeftal processed this information, his neural pathways struggling with the concept. "You're suggesting that music, a simple arrangement of sound waves, can override millions of years of predatory evolution?" "Not override," Elena corrected. "Remind. Every species in this galaxy evolved from smaller, more vulnerable ancestors. Deep in every genetic code is the memory of dependence, of needing protection and comfort. Humans just learned to weaponize that memory. She pulled up historical files, incident reports from across human space, hostile alien encounters that ended not in violence but in strange, inexplicable truces, predatory species that inexplicably retreated when faced with human vessels. Each incident report mentioned the same detail: humans singing, humming, or playing music during the encounter. "We don't just make war music," Elena said, her voice carrying a pride that made several council members instinctively step back. "We make lullabies. We make songs of comfort, of safety, of home. And apparently the universe still remembers what home sounds like." Admiral Vexathara stared at the readings, her military mind struggling to accept what the data clearly showed. So the human ship is, what, singing the Vorthak to sleep? More than that. Captain Chen is telling them in the oldest language in the galaxy that they're safe, that they don't need to hunt right now, that they can just be. The chamber remained silent as the implications sank in. Humans, the species most of the galaxy considered barely civilized barbarians, had discovered something that transcended technology, diplomacy, and military might. They had found the frequency of peace itself. The tactical display updated with new information. The Vorthak pack was moving, but not to attack. They were escorting the Harmony's edge to the edge of their territory, then breaking off and returning to the depths of space. Dr. Vasquez closed the audio file, but the echo of the lullaby seemed to linger in the council chamber. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "it's time the galaxy reconsidered what makes humanity dangerous." The council session ended in unprecedented silence.